basketball.
It's time to strap in and get ready. The Insight NBA team is in the arena, bringing you the ultimate play-by-play on who's hot and who's not to help you win your leagues and dominate your mates. You're now hooping with your hosts, Matty G, Skiddy, and Malley for the Insight NBA show.
G'day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast, NBA edition as well. I'm your host tonight, Skiddy IFS, and I have realised that I have made a very big error of misjudgment, and I've worn a singlet where I'm going up with Malley, and he's putting me to shame quite easily. Malley, how are you, brother?
Good, mate. In sunny Queensland, it looks like I'm under the sun right now. With the first podcast I've done in the summer, and it looks like I've just, I don't know what my lighting situation is, but it's hiding a few wrinkles and grey hairs, mate, so it's all good.
Mate, I wouldn't worry about that. I mean, we'll get like not one of those, what is it, ticky-tock lights, the ring light thingies, or we'll get the nice, beautiful thing on your face, show off the mo. That's what we need. Yeah.
Good idea.
Thanks, well, I thought sometimes we get that right and sometimes we get it wrong, but that's how it is. But, ladies and gentlemen, what you all want to get tonight is, because tonight is Pimp My Guys. It's a show where we stick a rocket up your players' asses to make sure that they play better for your fantasy teams. And, Malley, we normally go pretty well on this stuff. Like, we have our rolling schedule of how well we've done. And I think we've currently, between me, you, Big Horse, I think we're sitting at 25 out of 28 that have gone up. Only 2 have gone down, 3 have gone down, but one's been injury. So that's all right. So we're going pretty well, which is good. That's what we want to do. But Malley, what we like to look forward to first is the schedule coming up. Just giving a quick go by to everyone that is playing along, so they know what they can do next. Today was 6 games. Tomorrow's 8. Friday, 7. Saturday, 7. 12 on Sunday. Which means, Malley, we can stream for the next 3. Probably don't want to be worrying about that Sunday, though, with 12.
No, that's a whopper to end the week with. It's wild that we're only 3 days into the fantasy schedule. Feels like we're just about to finish the round, but yeah, round 7 still cracking along. Nice and healthy in its youth.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we need to make sure that we get those extra couple of pump up to our guys. I just wanted to double check. Yeah, no, it is. Yeah. For some reason, I had on one of the websites that it was a 2-week, 1 block kind of setup, but they fed me false information, but that's all right. So
that's happening over in Yahoo. You're right about that. They've made some oopsies over there. So I don't play on Yahoo, so it minds me not, but yes, I know that they're having their own little personal struggles over there in Yahoo.
Must be something to do with like the NBA Cup or something like that, but still bugger that. I'm not having a bar of that crap. But it is what it is. Yeah. People that need back-to-back information, tomorrow there is tomorrow there's none, but then the next day, tomorrow's starting. We have the Bulls, Warriors, Kings, and Spurs. And then the day after that, we're looking at just the Celtics. To finish off the week, we have the Hornets, Cavs, Nuggets, Grizz, Heat, Pelicans, Suns, and Wizards. For those people that want to get onto their back-to-backs early, and for you people that want to wonder who should I drop and who should I not, the next 2 days, Nets, Pistons, Clippers, and Heat all do not play in the next 2 games. So if you have any fringe players there, look to be moving on. We can have a look at someone like Brandon Pajemski, Ayo Dosunmu, Malik Monk, and Jeremy Sohan for the back-to-backs that those teams have. So there's a couple of ones there. Malley boy, any of those guys that tickle your fancy?
Obviously,
besides Sohan, obviously.
I worry. Yeah, obviously, he's always tickling fancies for me. I'm a bit worried that after his injury, they might not play him one side of the back-to-back, so we'll have to see.
Yep, that's
there. I saw that Malik Monk was dropped in one of my leagues the other day, and I was like, oh, no, the dude's hurt, but he isn't. It's a wild drop at the moment. But ananyway, people have their own strange strategies. Yeah, and Pods will get an extra run. I think Curry's having a little resty Malou. So yeah, he's out. That's good for Pods. It's good for me being a Jonathan owner, so he'll get a little bit extra run as well and shag my free throw percentage, I am sure.
And that's exactly what Sohan did to me the other day as well. 4 for 8. Come on, mate. We're better than that. At least I thought he was shooting better. I thought he was past this shit. But oh well, it is what it is. Malley, as we always know, standard squeeze, promo code IFS15, day ones, our absolute superstars, our loves, the beautiful bastards that they are right here. I've got a solo tonight. Actually, a little bit of something, just keeping myself in the loop. So if you want to head on over to the Standard Squeeze, the link is in the description below. They are the absolute bee's knees. We love them, day ones. And they bring to you, ladies and gentlemen, where we keep ourselves accountable. And that is last week, me and Horse. We had a look at pumping up these guys from last week. So Austin Reeves was 215th, went to 376, but he was injured, so that's okay. Don't have to worry about that, but still, I will take that and fuck the Lakers. Dante DiVincenzo, 253rd. Before today's game, he was 70th. He ended up being 115th after today because he shot 1 of 5. DeRozan, 225th to 28th. That is beautiful. Draymond Green, 223rd to 53rd on the week. Mikal Bridges, you are welcome, Mikal owners, 246th to 70th. And that's including a 30-point game, so love to see that. And Desi Bain, 324th to 97th. Malley, it's just what we do.
Yeah, I'd love to see Bain coming back into some form. You know that he's not going to be out for long. He's tried and tested. He's not one of these young guys. We knew that he was going to come back, but yes, we put a little bit of magic on there just for certain. It's worked out.
It was strange, though, because a couple of these guys, Bain was playing worse without Jar. Jar comes back, and then Bain starts to play better. It's just like he likes being in that number 2 role to being Jar's Batman, I guess how we like to say it.
And Triple J's kind of the opposite. I feel like he does better doing what he did last year, just being the number 1 guy the whole time. He hasn't been playing poorly. He's still getting his defensive stats. The blocks are down, but at least they're consistent. The percentages look great. He's getting a couple of threes. He's been a bit of a delight this season so far.
Could not agree more there, mate.
Imagine thinking 2 years ago that he would be the guy who is their safety net for injury proofness, touch wood. They're like, oh yeah, don't worry. We've got a guy who's never going to get injured in Triple J.
And now they are heavily relying on him after all that bullshit knee injury. But good to see him back, fit and firing. Hopefully the Grizzlies can get Zach Edey back soon as well and then can see their team as a whole. But let's pump up some guys this week, Malley, because a few of these guys goddamn need it because they are down and they are hurting us. So let's start in Utah. Larry Markkinen. I'm pretty sure this is the second time that he's been on Pimp My Guys as well, but that's all right. 125th for the week, 75th for the season. 18 points is down. 6 rebounds is down. 2.3 assists is down and not great. 0.7 steals, which is on his mark, so that is okay, but no blocks. 2.7 threes. Free throw percentage is at 72, so that's very well down from his 83, I believe it is. And field goal percentage, 39 for a 7-footer. That's dog shit. Turnovers, 0.7. Malley, where can we see the improvement? Are we going to see the improvement? Or is Kessler Collins just kind of getting in his way?
Yeah, I feel a bit sorry for the guy because he hasn't really been able to get on much of a run. He has a couple of decent games and then he gets hurt again and he has to go sit out. So, it's a little bit of a shame, especially for a guy that you probably rolled the dice on with your 4th pick. And you really, we all know that the work coming from Lowry has to be done now. Like he's not long for your fantasy world. So whatever you're getting out of him, you're hoping that now's the time because the end of the season never looks good for him in Utah. We've seen the pattern over the last 2 years. The writing's kind of on the wall for them to do it again. It seems bananas that he's playing second fiddle to John Collins, who we all thought at the start of the year was, an afterthought for them. And then they've just done this complete swap. And Yeah, it's hard. The only thing that we know for sure in Utah is that any time they're on the line for getting a win, their coach is going to call a timeout and put a bit of Hardy magic on them. He is the ultimate punt. He's like the guy who's just about to win the game, and your brother pulls the controller out, and the game stops, and you're like, "Well, that was nasty work." But anyway, they're obviously have a long-term plan, not a short-term plan. Go back to his stats. Let's have a look and see what it is that we think is going to come around for him. The assists, he's never a big assist guy, but 2.3 is pretty abysmal. So I think that's definitely going to go up. The rebounds for sure, it's tricky, I guess, him playing as a small forward where he's got Kessler and Collins dragging down double-digit rebounds each game, probably leaves obviously less for him. There's only a certain amount of boards to collect, but 6 obviously seems low. I'd have good confidence in the fact that when we look at him next week, if he's going to be able to play, we're going to get him back around that 8 mark. Steals, as he's got 0.7 there, and that's probably not much more than that. It's unreal that he hasn't got a block over the period of time that we've engaged those stats. So that seems pretty unlikely that he's not going to accidentally get his fingers on one. As you said, he's 7 foot. The wingspan's insane. If he just like does the Lisa Simpson like helicopter at some point, he's going to you're getting my way. He's going to collect something. So we know what we've got in Lauri Markkanen. It's a shame that, as I said, he hasn't really been able to get on a roll, and that's obviously affected him. His position in the team's been a little bit worrying. But yeah, I'd say all we have to do is get him back inside the top 100 to get a win here, and I'd say that we're near guaranteed of that. Yeah. What are you worried about? What do you think he can do?
Mate, mine pretty much just sits down to this, and I feel like you're hitting the nail on the head where we're saying he can't get into a rhythm. And because of the injuries that have stuffed him around a little bit, the three-point shooting numbers and the free throw percentage shooting numbers are the most worrying signs for me. Free throws are at 72, down from 85, so that's 13 points of difference, which really, really hurts. But the threes is where it's most worrying, because this last week, he shot 9.3 threes a game, and he shot up at 28%. That's down from 6.9 on the year. So he's averaging 2.5 more threes per game, which means that he's not hitting them, which means his field goal percentage is going down. So he's averaging 0.1 more threes per game, but he's shooting 2.5 more. So if we can get him inside, getting the field goal percentage back up, or he can hit those threes that he's trying to get, because obviously they're trying to space him with Collins and Kessler not being able to do that. So they are relying heavily on him taking the outside jumper. I just think, I don't know if they need to move something for them to be able, for Markkanen to fully reach it, but yeah, we need to see a little bit more from Utah being able to center through Lauri Markkanen and just do what they need to do. And he just needs to bring his shooting up a little bit as well. And then we're good.
You're right. The spacing is a little bit of a mess. And I think he looked at his best when Kessler wasn't out there and he only had Collins, because, Collins could hit a 3 as well. So, but with Kessler parked up in the paint, it makes it a little bit tricky for him to do his best work. But yeah,
it's the same thing where we're looking at Minnesota Timberwolves, where Randall and Gobert, Randall tries to drive and Gobert's just standing there like, hey, what are you doing? Yeah, I'm here already. And Randall's like, I've got the ball. What do you want me to do? And he's just standing there like a stopping guard with the lollipop, just being like, you cannot come in. So yeah, they're the same thing. They need to figure that shit out. But also, Utah are trying to lose games, so who gives a shit? And apparently, here's someone else that wants to start losing games, because the Indiana Pacers absolutely suck at the moment, and they need to pull their fingers out badly after another loss today. Pascal Siakam, he is down at the moment, ranked 131 for the week. Season, he's 52nd. Points are down to 16.3. Rebounds, 5.8. Assists are at 2.3, which is shocking for Pascal. Steals at 1.3, which is up, so we're happy with that. Blocks are at 0.5, or around the mark, so it's not as bad as we could hope for. Threes at 1.3. Free throws are at 71. Not great at all. That is on 3.5 attempts per game. 43% from the field, which is down, and 1.8 turnovers, which is also up, but bad. What do we like here for Pascal? Malley.
I think you can pencil those defensive numbers in. 1.5 a block is pretty much what you're going to get out of Pascal.
Yep,
like
great.
there's if those numbers move up, that's just a hot streak, and they're not going to stay there. So I think we can lock those in, Eddie. They're not going anywhere. I worry a little bit for him too, because he was looking at his best before Benedict Mathurin got into that starting five. And then Benny's been hot for a couple of weeks, but now he's started to cool off again. I feel like that's the door opening for Siakam, and I think that's why that helps him. He's going to hopefully be able to improve on his current ranking just because of that. With Nemhard back as well, I know that's another person who probably takes assists away from him, which is probably his biggest area there of concern, especially because he is a big man who's known, especially from his time in Toronto, for being able to dish 5 a game, and that's one of the reasons you take him and you kind of pencil him in for doing that, because you know that you're not going to get the defensive stats from him. So you're like, oh, well, at least he's a big guy that's more than a big guy because I know he can pass. And when that goes away, he hasn't been able to hit the threes as well. And I think, ironically, he's a bit of a safe guy for Indiana, because at the moment with Tyrese having his issues, I think it's probably leading everybody to have to adjust for when he's deciding to have a game where he goes off. And that must be a really hard rhythm to kind of match, because you have to change who you are based around your star. And when your star is literally going from 30-point games where he's hitting 9 threes to like 12-point games where he's going, 0 of 6 from 3, and you're like, wait, am I distributing today? Am I trying to do some defensive work? Am I scoring? Like, what Pascal Siakam do you need out here? I think I have more faith in a turnaround for him, I think, at the moment, than probably a lot of other guys on the list here, only because water seems to find its level pretty quickly. And I feel that much more for him than maybe most of the other guys on this list. What do you think?
Love that.
Are you hopeful, or is he hopeless?
Hey, I reckon what you said about Mathurin coming into the starting lineup in replace for Aaron Nesmith is absolute bingo. I feel like he's taking a lot more shots away from Pascal. Pascal can't get himself into a rhythm, but when it's Nesmith, he knows his role, spots up in the corner, does a little cuts when he needs to. Pascal and him have a very good connection. And I feel like, that's it. So when Nesmith comes back, I feel like we can see that uptick for Pascal Siakam coming back into his regular role. And also his percentages are just a little bit down. Pop them up, and we're back to top 80. Happy bloody days. But, Mally, we've got a guy that was in the first round. I'm pretty sure he's already been on Pimp My Guys. Trae Young. I don't understand what's going on here with Trae, because we pimped him last time, and I'm pretty sure he was 11th after that week. And that was probably 3 weeks ago, and now he's gone back to shit. He's 204th for this week, season 66. So that just shows you that he's gone up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. He will probably play like shit next week now that we've said this, but let's hope not. Points, 16 for 16 points per game. Rebounds is up at 4.8, which is actually he's averaging 1 rebound higher, which is great. Assists are down from 12 to 9.5. Steals are at 0.5. He's at 1.2 for the year. Blocks, don't even care. There's no chance he's getting one. Little lollipop bugger. Threes, 1.5 down from 2.5. Free throws are at 82, which is okay, you would assume, but he's at 89 for the year, so that is down. Field goal percentage, 39, but, that's actually up. So, oh well. And turnovers are at 5.5. So it's not the fact that he's not getting the ball as much as some people would say, with Jalen Johnson on the team and Dyson Daniels, who can also handle the ball. He is getting enough of the ball. It's just that his assists are down, but his turnovers are up. So what do we just need to see from Atlanta? Because the bad thing about this is Atlanta are winning. So I'm starting to smell a little bit of trouble for Trae Young.
Yeah, they're not really in a position where they need him to do much more than what he's doing at the moment. I mean, as you said, the assists are coming through absolutely fine. He's still getting a couple of steals. As you said, 82% as a free throw guy is pretty impressive. Not when you're used to 89%, but he's only getting to the line a handful of times, because he's just not being aggressive. Like, the only threes I see him hit are after the whistle's call and he decides to jack one up. He keeps running into the paint, and then he cuts 2 laps around the big and then goes and stands on the top of the 3-point line and just dishes it off to someone. You're like, what were you doing? Like, he doesn't even look like he and Halliburton are both in the same situation where they don't bring the ball up anymore, or not as much, because they've got other guys to do that. I mean, Jalen Johnson brings the ball up continuously for Atlanta now. And then when Trae gets it over the midway point, he charges into the paint and you think, oh, he's going to let go one of his little trademark floaters, and then he doesn't. He does 2 laps like a Tokyo drift car, just around one of these giant centers like Pirtle, who looks like he's getting dizzy, and then hoiks back outside, and then 8 seconds has gone off the clock, and he just hands it to someone else and doesn't move. Like, I'm worried that he's injured. I mean, he's that injury tag keeps coming up, then disappearing, then coming up and disappearing, and I'd say that's probably the same, theory we have about the other man we've just talked about in comparison with Halliburton, where, there's just not right. Not enough to sit them out, but enough that, they just can't get right. They haven't had enough time to kind of sit and come good. But you're right as well. Like, the 16 points seems insane. Like, that from a guy who we're used to seeing in the upper 20s, and that's probably a reason why you picked him up. Was you're like, well, I'm not going to get any defensive stats. The 5.5 turnovers is atrocious, but that's never going to be good. Like, you're not going to get anything different from Trae Young. And if you thought you were, then you probably don't know the NBA well enough to be having a tinker at fantasy basketball at present. Maybe watch another season and have another go. But, just the fact that Jalen Johnson is going nuts. They've now got Bogdan back, and he had a great game today as well. They're letting Rizzo shots. Dyson Daniels is getting his shots. Hunter's back and getting shots. So you think about who he was when he was getting 25, 26 points a game, and they just didn't have the options around him. And, I know he's going to get better, because some of those things that are dragging him down, like the turnovers, are obviously impacting him a whole heap. And he's one of those guys that, even if you see what's the ranking that he's on over the last week? What did you have there?
104 is what he is.
Yeah.
Season 6.
Reasonable about that. You're not trading him for anyone that's less than 203 just because you think that this is the end for Trae Young. We know that's not who he is, and we've seen him better this year. And I think, you're in a position now where there's no point trading him because he's not doing enough at the moment. And when he comes back to being in full form and he can get on top of this lingering injury, you wouldn't want to trade him anyway, because he's going to be fire. The only thing is that you're probably antsy that your second round dude, end of the first round dude, isn't doing what you need him to do. But I mean, you look at most of the guys who people took in the first round. Like, if you're with Halliburton, you're in the same place, so you know that the Halliburton managers got their own woes. You know that the Embiid managers got their own woes. You know that your boy Donovan Mitchell, he's been up and down. So a lot of these guys, hold on. Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. How did he get brought into this bloody conversation? But yeah, I feel like I'm prattling on a bit now, but I don't worry about Trae Young. I'm good. He's good. You've lost your sound, mate. Where did you go? Where's your mic? I've lost you.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, I got you back again. Hey.
Beautiful. That's good. Okay, good. Jared Allen, 209th for last week, season 42nd. So he's having a really bloody good year. Points, 8.3. Rebounds are at 6 from a guy that's averaging 10.3. Assists down from 1.6 to 0.3. Steals are at 1, still the same. He hasn't gotten a block this week, though. Field goal is at 800, which is good, but the free throw down at 33 is yucky. and turnovers are up at 1.3. So Jared's just having a very, very down week. The minutes are slightly down. And look, I'm not going to lie to you, Malley. I know this partially is because the Washington game is in on it, and the Cavs just said, Jared, we don't need you. We're running Mobley on this one. And he's like, yep, cool, no worries. I'll have a bit of a rest. So I'm expecting Jared Allen to bounce back. It's just a week where he just didn't the matchups didn't favor him.
You're right, and he's a block dependent kind of guy, and to get 0 in the week is obviously going to crush you in the standings. And he's never been a good free throw guy, but he's never been this atrocious. This is like Pirtle-esque type numbers. So and Pirtle actually shooting all right. He's not the problem. Your bigger problem is if you've got this guy, if you've got bloody Claxton at the moment, he's on a stinker. But the one thing I like about Jared Allen, I nearly traded for him in a league that I've already got Mobley, and I thought that'd be a nice pairing together because he doesn't affect your 3-point percentage. Like he's a guy that you're like, well, he's not going to take any, so he's not going to bring me down. He's not going to bring you up, but sometimes just having a guy that doesn't shoot any threes is valuable because you're like, well, I've got a couple of good 3-point shooters. I'll let them do the heavy lifting, and he can sit outside and do nothing and do all his work, get me my double-double, my gentleman's double-double of whatever he's getting at the moment, 12 and 12. They
14 and 10.
He's in a spot at the moment where he's probably at most times out there the fourth offensive option. He's gone a little bit into what's his name? Gobert mode, where they're just like, well, if you get a shot, you can take it, but there's no plays being set for you, my guy. Like, that's just not who we need you to be on this team. So,
hey, but when you say that as well, when the matchup is switched between the main interior defender goes to Mobley, Jared Allen gets his, and that's how they do it. But it just depends on who's going to take who, because obviously that connection of Garland and Allen is bloody good. So it's when the Cavs need to go to him. It's just that this week they didn't need to go to him. So let's hope we get some more matchups where Jared Allen will be in the focal point a bit more in the offense because, the usage was absolute sweet FA this week. And now this is the one where I kind of just go, okay, I'm just hoping it's a certain thing. Ivica Zubac, who has been on Fuego to start the year, 211th this week, season 105. His points are down from 14.5 to 8.5. Granted, today was an absolute blowout, so he only played, the 26 minutes instead of the regular 35 that he averages. So there is, because of that, because they lost by, 50? Lovely. Rebounds are still over 10, so we like that, but it's down from 12. Assists still at 2.3, which is good for a center. Steals at 0.3, not really expecting it that much out of him. Blocks are at 0.5 from 1. He doesn't shoot 3, so who cares? Free throws, though. 28% is absolutely god-awful. I don't care if it's 1.8 attempts per game. That is absolute shithouse. Field goal percentage is down from 60 to 53. That's pretty much that one game. What was the game where he absolutely shot against Denver. And he shot, horribly. Turnovers are about the same. So what are we expecting from Zubac? Is it just a down week and we'll expect him to come back up after? Because this has been pretty bad.
He's one of the guys, probably the main one on this list, who's really fallen away everywhere. If there's a category that you're counting in your whatever you're up, 9-cat, 11-cat leagues. Yep. Yeah. Turnovers
down.
He's never been a massive block guy, but he's been quite decent this year with his blocks. Again, the threes at 0, that's fine because in a way it's, you can't negatively impact them if you don't take them. The assists, realistically, he should be getting the second most assists on this team after Harden. Nobody else wants the ball and wants to move the ball around, and that's something he can do quite well. He isn't a bad distributor. So the other good thing about him, and most of the guys on the list this week probably fall into this same category, they're not going to replace him. They're not going to give someone else a shot. There's no young guy sitting there going, can I have a few of Zubac's minutes?
So love for Mo Bamba?
No, not an ounce. Don't dislike the guy, but also I'm realistic about his future in the NBA. So I think the way that Zubac started the year in his first few weeks is probably the high watermark. This is the low point, and what he did in those probably from rounds 3 and 4 were probably about what we're going to get, and that's fine. For a guy that you took around the 70s when that centre run went off, and you're like, I better get a centre here. You've had 2 stellar weeks, 2 weeks of what he's going to do, and now you're in week 2 of a bit of low down times for Zubac. So I don't think he's going to climb to the highest heights like he was in those first few weeks, but I'm pretty confident he's going to get back to where he was a fortnight ago.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you on that. And they've got the Rockets coming up next on Sunday, which is actually a pretty good matchup for him against Şengün because he does like to play against Alpi. So that's going to be a good dictator to see if he's able to bounce back. But I think they have Denver after that, so that is bad. Let's hope he can bounce back. And our last guy, I'll tell you what, Mally, when we talk about having to stick a rocket up a guy, I don't think we've ever had to do one this bad because holy shit. Has Amen Thompson had an absolute stinker of a week? He is, Mally, brace yourself, the 384th ranked player this week. That's right. He is last for this week. Last from Amen Thompson. From a guy that you would have drafted around, you'd had to swing at him probably around 120s or so, which is where he is for the year, 126. Fantastic. But 384th for the week is dog shit. 6 points down from 11.4. Rebounds are down from 7 to 6. So the rebounds are still just a little bit okay. Assists down from 2 to 1. He hasn't gotten a steal. He hasn't gotten a block. From a guy that is a defensive-like specialist, none, which is unbelievable. Threes, he didn't hit a 3 this week. Free throw percentage is at 28.6. So that's the same amount as Ivica Zubac. On 3.5 shots per game is atrocious. And then he backs it up with his field goal percentage being 31.3. Absolute shit house too. And then he has a turnover to assist ratio of 2 to 1 because he averages 2 turnovers to 1 assist. Shocking week by Amen Thompson. Can we get him up?
It's probably here I am saying that it's not going to get as bad as Zubac, but obviously I was wrong because we left the best till last, and obviously there's a long way to move, but he's going to move several 10 ranking spots just by hitting something, grabbing a steal, taking a rebound or 2 more. The thing I've noticed, obviously I watch a lot of Houston games, and I can only think of one game this season where it was a close game, and they put both him and Tari Eason out there, and they both got hot at the same time, so they left them out there to get the win.
Yes.
Other than that, it's just one of them has a great night, and one of them has a shocker of a night. And Tari, before he got his bonk on the old nut, he had a cracker of a game. I think he was like 15-12 and a few defensive stats. But he might find himself in the concussion protocols now, and I don't like to one man's glory being another man's pain type situation, but that's essentially what Amen's found himself in now. This might be the only time this season where he's going to be lower statistical ranking than his brother. So I think things are going to improve, and one of the things that is going to help him is he's going to well and truly be the 6th man if Tari Eason misses a couple of games with what looks like it might be a concussion. So I think, copy and paste what I said about Zubac. He's going to come up if he fixes one of these, 6 red areas. And anything on top of that's going to get him closer and closer to that 100 mark.
Yeah, look, I don't care if his percentages are going to be down. Like, he's still a young player. That's fine. He's going to live and learn from it. But a guy that is this good defensively, you can't give me no steals, no blocks, and shit percentages all in the same week, and your assist-to-turnover ratio is fucked. That's where we're going. Come on, man. You're better than this. Put your hands up. Let's get him back up. Mally, let's finish it off, mate. I'm going to recap it for the boys. And you tell me, would you buy or would you hold on to these guys? Larry Markkinen.
I think if you're an owner, you're doing anything you can at any point to try and sell, but now's not the time. It's also not the time to get rid of him if you're an owner.
Huge. Love that. Pascal Siakam.
I would definitely try to make a purchase on him now. I think with players returning and things leveling back out again, and what's his name, Halliburton starting to come into a bit more regularity in his form. I like Pascal Siakam, and I think he's going to get well close to that 52 point again soon.
Yep. I love that. And let's just hope that Neesmith can bring him back into the old Pascal that we know and love. Trae Young.
I'm worried only because he's the number one guy still on the team, but there's just like 6 number 2 guys at the moment who can kind of do the scoring, and scoring's really the thing that he's lacking the most at the moment. But I say we hold this lingering injury, hopefully finds itself coming good, and then we get a Trae who can score in the 20s again once more.
Bloody oath. Let's hope that injury pisses off right quick. Jarrett Allen.
I completely agree with you. I think a lot of what has happened to push him to 209 from a season at 42 is matchup connected. And I think, that's going to turn for him again soon. So I feel good about that one.
I agree with you on that one.
Good time to buy low. Good time to buy low.
Oh, absolutely it is. If you can get anyone outside the top 100 for Jarrett Allen, I'd be taking that easily. How about Ivica Zubac?
Exactly what I said before. Don't expect week 1 and 2, around 1 and 2, Ivica. But I think that you're going to get pretty close to what he did after that, and he's going to move away from this last bit of a slump that he's having now. So, yeah, I'd hold. I wouldn't take any notice of those knocking on my door asking for a cup of Zubac.
Yep, he has got Denver this week, so I'm very worried about Zubac this week. And then Amen Thompson. I mean, look, you can't go any lower. Let's get him up.
If you're on an absolute panic about a man, hopefully he can do some good work and come back into form and coincide with this time that Tari Eason might miss a game or two if he enters the concussion protocols, and then would be the time to sell him. I like him, and I know that he's only ever a game away from going 15, 10, 2 steals, 3 blocks and good percentages. So I'll keep him.
I agree with that, mate. There's not many players that we can look at in the league where we can go, hey, I can get that many assists, rebounds, blocks, steals on okay percentages. And that's just the type of archetype player that we want in fantasy basketball. Yeah. So I wouldn't panic either unless someone was really going up. But this is not the time to be trying to sell him off if you do want to get rid of Amen Thompson. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us this evening on the Insight Fantasy Sports Network. I've been Skiddy IFS, where you can find me on Twitter and all that good stuff. This has been Malley at live_my_fantasy. We very much appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.